Look at the democracies that are being overthrown in South America. And that is not a world that is safe for America. But what are we concentrating on? We have decided, Mr. Chairman, to attack another branch of our government. Now, Senator Whitehouse, I don't agree with you respectfully that the fundamental issue here is bribery at the Supreme Court. I don't believe that. And I don't believe you do either, sir. I think the fundamental issue here is that there's some people that don't like the opinions being issued by the United States Supreme Court. And that is your right. I've disagreed with many of the Supreme Court's opinions, but I haven't tried to destroy them.
Welcome back to Right View Nation, the home of bold truths, unfiltered patriotism, and unapologetic common sense. If you're sick and tired of the left-wing circus running D.C., buckle up, patriots, because today we've got fire straight from the Senate floor, and the one and only Senator John Kennedy just delivered a truth bomb that rocked the committee room. Now let's start with what Senator Kennedy said about the southern border. He didn't mince words. While the radical left wants to call everyone a racist for daring to talk about border security, Kennedy gave us one of the best analogies I've ever heard. Most Americans lock their front door at night, not because they hate everybody outside, but because they love the people inside. Boom. Mic drop. This is what the woke mob will never understand. They think that loving your country, defending your family, and protecting your borders is somehow hateful. No, it's American. If you care about your wife, your children, your community, you secure the border. You enforce the law. You don't let chaos flood in unchecked. And Senator Kennedy nailed it. He also brought up something the Biden regime wants to pretend doesn't exist: inflation. He said people in Louisiana are having to sell blood plasma just to buy groceries. That's not a metaphor. That's America under Bidenomics. While the elites in D.C. fly private jets to climate summits and pass bills full of pork, working Americans are bleeding, literally, to survive. If that doesn't make you furious, check your pulse.
I'm going to yield to Senator Kennedy just in a second. What you said about that transaction, I don't think is accurate. But we'll have all day Thursday to talk about it. I'll yield to you just a second, Senator Kennedy. Demand justice. Remember, I don't know who they are. They're under the Arabella umbrella. I don't know if it's George. I don't know who gives them all this money. But every time I turn on the TV, they were trashing out Michelle Childs, who I was going to support for the Supreme Court. I don't know who funds Demand Justice. I don't know if it's a billionaire, a millionaire. I don't know if it's a bunch of poor people who want to give their money. I imagine it's somebody from the left with a lot of money wanting to make sure she didn't make it on the court. And Senator Cotton's dead right. I mean, you're trying to destroy Clarence Thomas like every time we turn around. And this court is made up of people that are center-right. The days of having the court to do your bidding are over. They're going to rule, I think, in ways more consistent with what the court should be doing, and on occasion I disagree with them. The bottom line here, Ms. Chairman, you've decided for some reason to push us for subpoenas on a concept we think is unconstitutional. Whether we're right or not, we think that. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get 60 votes to enforce this subpoena if you pass it on a party line vote like you did the underlying bill. So this is a choice you've made. And I am perplexed, given everything going on, why you chose to do this. But you have, to the detriment of this committee, to the detriment of the country, I think, because we're going to be talking about stuff rather than doing stuff. And I would like, if we could, to work on things that need to be dealt with, like out of control social media, a broken border. Senator White is right. We're going to give you a proposal. This is what, November of 2023? And we're just now getting around to having a serious discussion about securing the border? So I will yield to Senator Kennedy, but this is a very disappointing moment for me, and we'll see how it all plays out. Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Whitehouse, I just find this extraordinary. And I find the timing of this to be extraordinary. I think most of us can agree that America is this big, wide, open, free, sometimes dysfunctional, often imperfect, but always good country. And we all love it. But we're going through a rough patch. Inflation is gutting our people like a fish. People in my state have to sell blood plasma in order to go to the grocery store. The border is wide open. And that's under the jurisdiction of this committee. Now, I know some folks think that if you oppose illegal immigration, you are necessarily a racist. That's not the way the American people look at it. The American people support legal immigration, but they look at the southern border like their front door. Most Americans lock their front door at night. Not because they hate everybody on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. And they want to know who's going into and coming out of their home. And I don't think that's unreasonable. We don't talk about it much anymore, but since the Affordable Care Act was passed, insurance premiums in America have tripled. We're not doing anything about it. We've always had people in America, unfortunately, who are too poor to be sick, but now many of those people are in the middle class because of our health care delivery system. We're going through a rough patch. Internationally, the world's on fire. The world's on fire in Eastern Europe. It's on fire in the Middle East. The embers are smoldering in the Indo-Pacific. You don't have to be Mensa material to see that this is all being coordinated between and among China and Russia and the Ayatollah in Iran. Their goal is to have Russia dominate Central and Eastern Europe, to have the Ayatollah in Iran dominate the Middle East, to have China dominate the Indo-Pacific and Sub-Saharan Africa, and be free to make whatever move they want to in South America. Look at the democracies that are being overthrown in South America. And that is not a world that is safe for America. But what are we concentrating on? We have decided, Mr. Chairman, to attack another branch of our government. Now, Senator Whitehouse, I don't agree with you respectfully that the fundamental issue here is bribery at the Supreme Court. I don't believe that. And I don't believe you do either, sir. I think the fundamental issue here is that there's some people that don't like the opinions being issued by the United States Supreme Court. And that is your right. I've disagreed with many of the Supreme Court's opinions, but I haven't tried to destroy them. I think you're making a big mistake here, Mr. Chairman. I say that with all the respect I can muster. And here's my question. No one in the Milky Way with the possible exception of one of Hunter's hookers, believes that all you're interested in is a few documents. Is your end game to subpoena Clarence Thomas and make him appear before the Judiciary Committee?
Does the senator yield the floor?
I was hoping I
That
could
a
get
rhetorical?
I was
I'm trying to figure out if
I
that's a
was hoping I
rhetorical
could get our
question or a real
chairman
one.
to give me some of his
I'm
thoughts.
sorry, I didn't realize that was directed to me, but I
Yes.
will respond. Our end game is to follow the facts. We cannot accumulate the facts without the cooperation of the witnesses. When the witnesses, after repeated attempts to appeal to them, have failed to produce these facts and documents, we've turned to a subpoena. But I can tell you, it's after a long, arduous journey where we've done everything we can to try to get their voluntary cooperation.
Well, Mr. Chairman, do you believe we can subpoena Clarence Thomas?
I haven't addressed that issue either
Well,
privately
we
or
have,
publicly.
and we say no.
I'm going to go to the roll call votes and then continue this discussion if the members wish to stay for that purpose. First is Judge Mustafa Kasubi, nominated to U.S. District Court for the District of Oregon. Does anyone seek recognition on the judge's nomination?
I do.
Senator Graham.
I think I voted almost 90-some% of the time for district court judges that were picked by senators working with the White House. I sort of like that. As a matter of fact, I just was able to work with the White House legal counsel to get a nominee from South Carolina up. I wouldn't have chosen any of these people, but I'm a little old-fashioned. I'd like to have senators still have input about district court judges in their state. And when you're out of power in the White House, we're working as best we can over here to find acceptable nominees. And I'm proud of what the committee's tried to do, and to the members in the minority, been, I think, very reasonable. These two are just way out of bounds. I mean, just like over the top out of bounds. I do not trust these two nominees to give me a fair trial because I think they're so indoctrinated in their liberal thoughts and their attitudes about life. It oozes from their pores. I mean, you could feel it, not just hear it. These people are really committed to their causes, of which I almost don't share any of them. And it's okay to disagree with each other, but I don't believe they could resist the temptation to be a district court judge to advance their causes. And I've never said that before in this committee. But about these two, I believe that. So I'm voting no to both.
So the question is,
This is what happens when you hand power to people who have never balanced a budget, who don't know the price of a gallon of milk, and who care more about gender pronouns than paychecks. Let's talk about the Democrats' latest obsession, attacking the Supreme Court. Senator Kennedy called them out, plain and simple. This isn't about bribery or ethics. No, it's because the left can't control the court anymore. They're furious that conservative justices, like Clarence Thomas, aren't rubber-stamping their radical agenda. So what do? They slander them. They launch political witch hunts, try to drag them before the Senate, and demand subpoenas. This isn't oversight, it's a smear campaign. And you know what Kennedy asked? He said, "Is your endgame to subpoena Clarence Thomas and make him appear before this committee?" Exactly. That's the goal. Publicly shame him. Strip the court of independence. Turn it into a political puppet of the radical left. Senator Kennedy wasn't just focused on domestic issues either. He painted a chilling picture of what's going on globally. The world's on fire, in Eastern Europe, in the Middle East, and in the Indo-Pacific. He pointed out what every sane person already knows. Russia, China, and Iran are working together to dismantle American power. While Biden hosts TikTok influencers at the White House, our enemies are plotting global domination, and they're doing it without fear. And what is this committee doing? Are they securing the border? Lowering drug prices? Standing up to foreign adversaries? Nope. They're busy digging through Clarence Thomas's paperwork from a decade ago. You can't make this up. Let's not forget Graham's comments either. He said the 2 judicial nominees they were considering were so radical, their ideology oozed from their pores. That's not exaggeration, that's clarity. We've got judicial nominees who view the bench as a place for activism, not justice. And Kennedy and Graham are right to oppose them. If we allow activist judges to infest our courts, they'll legislate from the bench, destroying the rule of law and imposing woke insanity on every American. This is why voices like Senator John Kennedy are so important. He doesn't just talk, he fights. He speaks for the working man, the farmer, the trucker, the mom trying to afford groceries, the veteran who's been forgotten, the American who's sick of the corruption, the cowardice, and the Marxist madness sweeping through Washington. If we had more leaders like John Kennedy in the Senate, this country wouldn't be on life support. So to the Senator, from Right View Nation, we salute you, sir. If you support border security, economic sanity, and judicial integrity, hit that like button. If you believe America is worth defending, subscribe right now, and share this video with every patriot you know. And drop a comment below. What do you think of Kennedy's statement? Is it time to clean house in D.C.? Let us know. This is Right View Nation, where the truth never bows and patriotism is always in style.